After all that we have stated above, is there still any clear-minded person who doubts the connection between Judaism and the Freemasonry movement? Freemasonry is proud of its Jewishness. How can anyone doubt, since Freemasonry itself is proud of its Jewishness? Freemasonry and Christianity. Freemasonry and Christianity. Freemasonry's attitude towards the Christian religion can be summed up in one sentence. Freemasonry considers Jesus to be the prophet of a group of people who have departed from the faith. He deserves to be cursed. His teachings are false and misleading. This is surely outrageous opinion. Therefore, the first duty of the Church is to rise up in defense of the religion which it is her duty to safeguard. Catholic movement bans Freemasonry. The Catholic Church has therefore declared war on Freemasonry. The Pope has issued a number of decrees, some of which we will quote here, because from these decrees and decisions we can know the nature of Freemasonry, and at the same time a true picture of its principles. First Papal Decree of 1738 prohibiting Freemasonry. Pope Clement XII 17301741 issued this first decree on Freemasonry. In this decree, the Pope had invited all cardinals to attend a conference held on April 28, 1738 to study Freemasonry. After the conference, the following decree was issued. We have received news of the formation of secret organizations under the name of Freemasons, as well as other similar names. These societies are becoming more and more widespread and growing day by day. One of their characteristics is that many great men of different religions and classes have entered into them, among whom there are very dark, secret connections. It is sufficient for us to testify that these secret meetings are held for evil purposes and not for good. These organizations hate the light. When we think of the great dangers these organizations have caused, it is worthy of concern both for the peace of the kingdom and for the salvation of souls. Having considered the opinion of our brother cardinals, we therefore, with full knowledge, and with all the power vested in us, pronounce the sentence that the organizations and societies known as Freemasons are to be condemned and abolished. We therefore condemn and denounce them in the strongest terms, by the force of this decree, which we hope will be valid for all time. The 1751 Papal Decree banning Freemasonry. On May 18, 1751, Pope Benedict XIV issued a proclamation in which he endorsed the proclamation issued by the previous pope, supported it fully, and added the following: Causes of prohibition. We support the verdict that has been passed against the Freemasonry groups. We do this for several reasons. Firstly, these societies are composed of people from every religion and sect. From this fact, it follows that such intermingling is bound to have an unfavorable effect on the Catholic faith. Secondly, the members of these assemblies made a very solemn covenant among themselves to keep absolutely secret everything that took place in their assemblies, so that there came to pass among them what the Roman writer tells us about Caecilius Natus regarding some of his circumstances, where he says, "The good things want to flourish and gain fame, but the things that are not good always hide behind protective veils and in darkness." Thirdly, those who are members of these societies bind themselves with heavy oaths in order to keep their secrets, as if one could keep silent about secrets that are detrimental to the interests of the state or religion. If the religious leaders ask him to reveal the secret, then he will object to doing so on the grounds that he has promised and sworn, even though his promises and oaths are not true. Fourthly, civilized nations and church leaders in every generation have agreed to dissolve all irregular secret organizations, because their rumors and great evil are well known. Fifth, the nature of these Freemasonry societies has been exposed in many countries, and their members have been eliminated. Sixthly, men of noble character and wisdom have unanimously declared that these organizations do no good at all, because everyone who enters them always suffers disgrace and degradation. Pope combats Freemasonry and forbids membership. Later, Pope Pius VII also declared war on Freemasonry and denounced with great severity anyone who plunged himself into its ways, and he strictly forbade membership. 1828 Papal announcement. On March 12, 1828, Pope Leo XII issued a proclamation stating that he had nothing to do with Freemasonry, and that it was these organizations that had fanned the flames of chaos on the European continent. Among other things, he stated, "These remarks of ours are not unproven conjectures. The books they have written testify against them. They destroy the basis of human unity. These societies do not respect religion and do not obey the authorities. They openly declare that they follow atheism, and they not only deny the theology of Jesus Christ, but even deny the existence of God Himself. We have been able to discover its secret rules and laws, and they are in perfect harmony with its shameful principles." Decret 1865. Pope gives new information on his clear relationship with the Jews. Pope Pius IX issued a decree in 1865, in which he stated that he supported the previous decrees. Then he added a new piece of information as follows. One of the most prominent aims of Freemasonry is to destroy the Church, both its religious and temporal powers, to oppose the Sharia, and to spread corruption. Furthermore, it aims to destroy all religions, so that the only religion that will remain will be Judaism. The result of the Pope's decrees is that Freemasonry is banned and its faith is questioned. As a result of all the papal decrees that have come in successive centuries, the Catholic Church has issued decrees of excommunication and prohibition against all Masons who accept membership in Freemasonry. The Church doubts the faith of every Freemason, even if he is withdrawn from the assembly. The Church stuck to these decisions until the 1950s. After those years, its direction began to change, and its goals began to diverge, as a result of several factors that we will point out later. The French cardinal's opinion that dialoguing with Freemasonry and communism is the same as dialoguing with Satan. On this occasion, we feel obliged to present the opinion of French Cardinal Martial Lefebvre. We cannot dialogue with Freemasonry, nor with communism, because dialogue with the devil is impossible. The attitude of the Eastern Church is the same as that of the Catholic Church. This is the attitude of the Western Church. What is the attitude of the Eastern Church? The attitude of the Eastern Church towards Freemasonry is the same as that of the Western Church, or the Catholic Church. Among the oldest decrees ever issued by the Patriarch is the Decree of 1744, which prohibits Freemasonry and attending its assemblies. Freemasonry's answer to the Church. Freemasonry has known the attitude the Church has taken towards it. What then was its answer? It was an answer that was certainly harsh, filled with treason and deceit, full of malice and bad faith. What happened in the 30th degree ceremony? In the 30th degree ceremony, there are 3 skulls on the chairman's table, symbolizing revenge against 3 people, the leaders of the state, religion, and science. From left to right, the skulls are those of French King Philip le Bel, Pope Clement V, and French Chancellor von Neugary. So the trio symbolizes a cap on the state crown, the Church Pope's crown, and people of knowledge garland. It was these people who were held responsible for the destruction of the Temple of Religion organization, its destruction in 1309, and the execution of its greatest teacher, Muley. In the ceremony of advancement to the 30th degree, the lids of the 3 skulls were opened. Then all those present at the ceremony, all of whom had attained the 30th degree, along with their new friends, all carried knives painted red around their waists. When the lids of the 3 skulls had been opened, they drew their knives and shouted, "Vengeance! Vengeance!" At the conclusion of the ceremony, all present declared their determination to fight against the 3 powers, namely the state, the Church, and the scientist. Freemasonry fires members who praise the Pope. Freemasonry does not only do that, it also threatens every follower, regardless of their rank and status, with dismissal if they praise the Pope. For this reason, Prince Lucien, the son of Emperor Napoleon III's uncle, had been dismissed from the assembly because he had made a speech praising the Pope. All this was done in connection with the Church's decision to excommunicate and banish the Freemasons. Freemasonry tore Christianity apart with Luther. Freemasonry tore Christianity apart and added to its sect. When a Freemason, who had long been a member of the temple, and at the same time, Catholic, organized a new denomination of Christendom, which then had a following of millions in the world. That Freemason was Martin Luther, who claimed to have broken away from Catholicism and founded the Protestant sect. Regardless of what one may say about Luther's movement, within the limits of our present scholarly research, we will only deal with one issue, which, in our opinion, has had an equally important impact on Christianity and on Christian thought. Luther praises the Old Testament contrary to the direction of the Church. The Church had for several centuries forbidden its followers to read the Torah and other related books. When Luther came along, he rehabilitated the Old Testament among Christians, so that it was always read and printed together with the New Testament book, the Bible. Something that has led to the widespread distribution of the Old Testament book into every home and every church. Consequences: the result of this practice was the infiltration of Jewish interpretations, especially the Talmud, into the Gospel. Making it compulsory for Christians to carry out the teachings of the Old Testament, in the absence of teachings prohibiting it in the New Testament books. Making Christians feel that they were under the influence of, and followers of, the Old Testament, which meant becoming followers of the Jews, who were the supporters of the Old Testament. What Muslims should realize: we Muslims have an obligation to realize this fact in our relations with the Christian world. We must not forget it, no matter what form it takes and in what areas it exists. If we have realized this to the best of our ability, then we can give an interpretation to every problem we face in the field of our bitter battle with our enemy, the Jews. Results of the battle between Freemasonry and the Church. This is the outline of the battle that took place between Freemasonry and the Church. Every battle has an end. Who won? As a result of the French Revolution and other revolutions that raged in Europe, especially the Communist Revolution, and the ideas it spawned, Christian society was shaken to its core. Its values and ideas have been torn apart. Church submissive to Freemasonry. Because of this, the luster of the Church has begun to fade in the consciences of Christians. Its greatness in the soul is gone. This has forced the Church to bow its head before the cruel savagery of Freemasonry. Especially since the Church has witnessed with its own eyes in most parts of the world how Freemasonry has been able to gather together great men of influence, power, and wealth, as well as those at the top of society. Perhaps the factor that has caused the Church to take this stance is the entry of Freemasons and Jews into the Church environment using various means and masks. The Church doesn't answer Freemasonry's attacks. This bending of the Church's knee is clearly seen in its silence in the face of the decisions taken by Freemasonry in Brussels after World War II, which were announced to the whole world, in which there was a declaration of war against the Church, an attempt to destroy it and completely eradicate it from the real world. At that time, the Pope was Pope Pius X, succeeding Pope Pius X. Pope Paul VI unbans Freemasonry. Then Pope Paul VI came along and overturned every decision that had been made by the previous popes. In July of 1965, this pope issued an order that gave pastors the right to annul all past church rulings that contained the prohibition and excommunication of any Christian Freemason. Pope Paul VI receives Rotary Club members. Then the Pope himself received a number of Rotary Club members in Italy in 1965 and gave them a blessing. In doing so, this pope violated the teachings of previous popes that any Christian who is a member of a Rotary Club is of doubtful faith. The teachings of previous popes also say that Catholic religious leaders are forbidden to attend banquets organized by Rotary clubs. We are astonished at this new stance that the Pope has taken. Doesn't it show that the previous popes, since 1738, have made great mistakes and gone astray? Until this new Pope came along and showed us the path of truth and the proper way. No one has ever made this argument. What really happened was that Pope Paul VI, because of his extreme preference for the Jews, took the decisions we have mentioned above. But this is not strange. One who has liberated the Jews from the blood of Jesus, who has thrown the sacred texts of the Gospels behind the wall, will certainly not hesitate to praise Freemasonry, nor will he hesitate to trample on the teachings of the early Christian leaders. Churches in East and West allow Freemasonry entry. However, the Church in both the East and the West has permitted Christians to enter the Freemasonry assembly unhindered and without blame. In the following chapter, we will try to discuss how influential Freemasonry has been in the Islamic world. Freemasonry and Islam. Freemasonry's opinion of the Messenger, the Quran, and Muslims. Earlier, we mentioned the text of a dialogue that took place during the degree advancement ceremony for those who have earned the right to advance to the 30th degree in Freemasonry. In it, it is said that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a fake, that he has revealed nothing new, and that the noble Quran is an offshoot of the book of the Torah. This prophet has headed a group of people who are enemies of faith and mankind. Great indeed are the words that come out of their mouths, but what they say is nothing but lies. Al-Kahf 5.